Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today's another edition of awesome retro games from A to Z, and this time it is on the letter G. Now, so I was able to find quite a few titles for the letter G actually, so I kind of had to filter through the ones I liked and the ones I was a little bit more familiar with. So there's probably going to be some that I missed, and but that's okay. You're always free to add some to the comments below and tell me which ones you think should have made this list. Now, like I've said before, when I do this, these are usually games that I like or that I'm more familiar with. I don't just belt off every single game that starts with G. I mean, I'd be here all night. So, really, this is just like a selection of the ones that I think are awesome games. Anyways, I'm going to start with the obvious, which is going to be, you know, the space shoot 'em up games, much like Galaxian. That's my 2600 cart for Galaxian. I'm okay on this game. It's your typical space shooter type of game. It's kind of like a Space Invaders. I mean, during that day when Space Invaders was the big thing, I mean, you're got to expect a lot of clones are going to come out and a lot of games very similar. So they had Galaga, they had Galaxian, and they also had Gorf, which, you know, I have this on the ColecoVision. I actually don't mind this one. I'm not the greatest at these types of space shooter games, so I don't really play them too often, but I really do enjoy Gorf. I mean, Gorf is one of those games that, you know, like a lot of these, they kind of appear on all different systems. And so, I mean, I don't know if there's Galaga for the Atari. I just know of Galaxian. There probably is, I just don't have it. But this is the only one I'm familiar with. But the Gorf, I've definitely played it on a few different systems. I even remember a very long time ago, a friend down the street had a VIC-20, a Commodore VIC-20, and he had Gorf on there, and I thought it was a cool game on the VIC-20. And you can imagine how the graphics were. I know I had two friends that had a VIC-20. One had a black and white TV, the other one had it color. So I think the Gorf game, I played it in color. So it must have been the one who had the color TV. But I always had fun playing Gorf. It's not a bad game. I'm glad I was able to actually grab a copy of it for my Coleco. So moving away from the space games, we're going to get into something like Gremlins. This is one I picked up not that long ago. I actually did a video where I talked about this one and another movie game. I can't remember if it was Raiders of the Lost Ark or maybe it was that. I can't remember. I did two movie games, and Gremlins was one of them. This is actually a pretty decent game. It's actually has elements of other favorite Atari games in there, like Kaboom. So there's some pretty interesting things going on there. The graphics aren't bad. I don't know. Yeah, this was a late title. This was like 1986. So this was kind of a late title for Atari. I know they made games up to the 89, but this is still, you know, for what it is, it's actually a pretty decent version of you know, a game, I should say, for the Atari 2600. Not bad. I know there's one, I believe there's one for the 7800 as well, but I don't have that one. Sticking with the movie themes, Ghostbusters. Now, I was so surprised to see this on the Atari 2600. And this is like 84, 85, I think, when this one came out. I was very familiar with the Commodore 64 version of this game. I played the Commodore version a lot when I was a kid. I still put it on every once in a while and play it. I know I also did a video on the Ghostbusters game as well. I think I did it on the 2600 one. Not sure if I touched the Commodore 64 version yet, but that's definitely something I've been thinking about. Like maybe even doing a live play on it or something like that. That might be fun. The game isn't that long to complete, but you can complete it and then you play it again and you get more money and you could upgrade. So, you know, it's actually a pretty decent game. And the graphics on this one, again, they're pretty good. This is Activision, of course. It's got the Activision logo up there. Most of the Activision games are actually fairly good. Moving a little bit away from the movies, we're going to get into some of the sports type titles. I know this is just golf. So there's nothing exciting there. I did a golf video before. I showed this off. I was terrible at it. But I mean, it's still interesting to see like a golf game on the original Atari 2600. But what was even better than golf was Grand Prix, or as some people like to call it, Grand Prix, if you want to pronounce it wrong. But that's Grand Prix. Now, what's cool about this is my buddy James Campbell, who is now doing his own channel, Jim's Retro Zone. He actually played this on his channel and submitted it to the Twin Galaxies website, which is they're the ones who have pretty much the scoreboard for, they're the most popular scoreboard for video games, and he's got a record up there, so that's pretty cool for Grand Prix. I'm not good at it. In fact, I always just make fun of it and call the cars kazoos or whatever, those little kazoo instrument things, because that's what they look like. But I don't know. I'm not good at this game. I don't think I've ever done a video on it. But, you never know. Maybe one day. Grand Prix. Moving away from the older stuff, there is like a few other games that I had in mind. Ghosts and Goblins is a good one, and I am only familiar with the one on the Commodore 64. I believe it was called Ghosts and Goblins. Because I know there's also Ghouls and Ghosts and Ghosts and Ghouls and probably other different rip-offs of it or stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the one I was familiar with was the Commodore 64 was Ghosts and Goblins. Now, I've heard that the game is intensely hard on the Sega Genesis. I believe it's called Ghouls and Ghosts. Correct me if I'm wrong. Still a G game, but and I think it's also on the Nintendo and it's hard. So it seems to be an all-around hard game. And I do remember struggling playing it on the Commodore 64. I didn't get very far on it. It's another one of those games I have tucked away in my, must pull it out probably around the Halloween days. That makes more sense to play stuff like that around Halloween time. And finally, I'm going to end off with Gauntlet. Now, this is obviously the Nintendo version of Gauntlet. I also have the handheld version of Gauntlet, which I should have grabbed that one, but I didn't. It's actually those Tiger Electronic games, and I didn't find that one that bad, actually. It was pretty, for most of those Tiger Electronic games, where there's not a whole lot going on, the Gauntlet one is actually pretty good. I mean, you see him wandering through the maze, you pick up stuff, it kind of has more to it. But the Nintendo one is definitely one that I haven't spent enough time on. I think after I bought this, I played it for a little bit, just to see if it worked. I think I bought it used. I don't know where. I was trying to remember where I bought this. I probably didn't pay a whole lot of money for it. I don't know what it's worth it nowadays, but I probably bought it for like $10 or something like that. Got it really cheap. And it's been a game that I've tried on. I'm pretty sure I tried it on the Commodore 64, and I've played it on the arcade. Going back in the day when these things were in the arcade anyways. Not a bad game. In fact, there's even other games that are very similar to it. On the Atari, for instance, there's a game that's just like it. So, I think it's just one of those titles that a lot of people really like. There's even a sequel. I think there's a third one. I don't know. I haven't spent much time researching this one, but it's definitely one that I need to take a look at again. I need to do something with this game, because I've had it in my collection for a long time, and I've always thought Gauntlet was a fascinating game. There's a lot going on there. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah, I think that's going to round out my G games. I mean, there was some more out there, but unfortunately, it's just I don't play a lot of those ones, so it was just not too familiar for me. And anyways, those are my G's. Let me know what you think. The selection I've picked. Try golf on the Atari if you really want to aggravate yourself. My buddy James Campbell, he knows how to play this game, so hit up Jim's Retro Zone and say, how do you play golf on the Atari? And he'll let you know how to do it. But yeah, let me know what you think of the selection. I know some of these games I've already done videos on, and a bunch of them I got videos to come. Not sure what. Definitely with this one, it has to happen at some point. But, I'll see where I go from here. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Drop some suggestions down below. Let me know what I forgot. Let me know what you think, and hope you subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.